Hello everyone. So our topic for today is chapter number 4.2, the Luncheon. Okay. Now what do you mean by Luncheon? It is basically a formal lunch. Okay. Lunch पे जब आप you have a meeting or when you meet someone, basically एक lunch पे. Okay. हम लोग lunch meetings रखते हैं जहाँ पे lunch भी हम लोग कर लेते हैं, साथ में जो काम का discussion होता है वो भी कर लेते हैं. So that is called as Luncheon. Okay. So the author over here is William Somerset Maugham. Okay. He was a distinguished British playwright. Okay. वो अब plays लिखते थे अपने टाइम पे. Novelist and a short storyteller. Okay. So play भी लिखते थे, novelist भी थे, novels भी लिखते थे, and he was a short story writer के कभी कभी stories भी लिख लेते थे. He was among the most popular writers of his era and reputedly the highest paid author during the 1930s. Okay, so he was one of the most famous author उनके time पे during his time, that was during 1930s, and he was one of them who used to get highest paid, okay, for his work. His work is characterized by a clear, undaunted style, cosmopolitan settings, and a shrewd understanding of human nature. Okay, characterized खासियत. Okay, उनके काम का खासियत क्या है? That he was a clear, undaunted style. What do you mean by undaunted? Undaunted is original. Okay, original, yeah, you can say plain style. Means what? He never used to add something into it, like किसी का ideas नहीं. The style was very original and natural. Cosmopolitan, when you say cosmopolitan means which includes all different cultural languages वैसा. So if you say, you can say that India is a cosmopolitan country because यहाँ पे if you see you'll get all sorts of traditions, culture, etc. right? So that is called as cosmopolitan. तो वो अपना play, उनका play natural होता था, but it include every type of culture, tradition into it, of different language, different country, etc. And a shrewd understanding. What do you mean by shrewd? Shrewd is a clever understanding, okay, of human nature. Okay, a most delightful humorous narrative, The Luncheon is a slice of life story about Maugham's luncheon date proposed to him by a woman whom he hopes is a supporter of his art. Okay, so ये जो luncheon the chapter जो है वो उनके life का एक part है. Okay, it is a part of his story, his life. Like कौन सा part है? It is a part in which he was being proposed by a girl to a lunch date. Okay, कि lunch date के लिए उनको एक lady ने बुलाया था, and that lady he like वो author को लगता है that she is a supporter of his art के जो आज वो है, like the post on which he is like the author, the novelist and the writer, he thinks that she has a great contribution and उन्होंने खुद ने उनको lunch date पे बुलाया था. So this is the chapter. Okay, ये उनके life का real part है. So let us start with the chapter. Now most of the time this is like a humorous one, a comedy one, so we will see and we will get to know the chapter. Okay, I caught sight of her at the play and an answer to her call. I went out during the interval and sat down beside her. It was long since I had last seen her, and if somebody had not mentioned her name, I hardly think I would have recognized her. She addressed me brightly. Okay, so what he's saying that these guys, like जो author है वो and the lady, they were in the theater and they were watching the play, and he is saying that I caught sight of her, कि मैंने उनको just देखा, and if someone would have not mentioned her name तो मुझे तो पता भी नहीं चलता कि वो वही औरत है या वही lady है. And at the interval, during the interval I went there to meet her. Okay, and I could hardly recognize her, but she was addressing me brightly. Okay, कि मैं तो hardly इनको पहचान पाया पर वो मुझे अच्छे से देख रही थी, as if she knows me properly. Well, it's many years since we first met. How time does fly. We are none of us getting any younger. Do you remember the first time I saw you? You asked me to luncheon. Okay, so she is telling him that it's a long time, right? We have met, like you invited me for lunch and we both are not getting young. मतलब क्या कि time pass हो रहा है, मतलब time is being, मतलब time pass मतलब not that time pass होते जा रहा है and हम लोग सब बड़े होते जा रहे हैं. And now I don't think so that we are going to get we are going to become young again वैसे. So basically उसका बोलने का मतलब क्या था, that it's been a long time we haven't seen one another. Okay. Did I remember? It was 20 years ago and I was living in Paris. I had a tiny apartment and I was earning barely enough money. She had read a book of mine and had written to me about it. I answered, thanking her, and presently I received from her another letter saying she was passing through Paris and would like to have a chat with me. Okay, so what he's telling that when I was young, अभी जैसे कि हम लोग ने देखा, the author is a playwright, a writer and a novelist, right? तो writer if you see उतना income उनका नहीं होता, and ये तो उनका starting career का बात करे, like when he was young and when he has just started his career. So he has written one book and the lady over there, she had reviewed the book and उन्होंने उसकी कोई तारीफ कर ली थी ऑथर की. So author liked it, right? कि किसी ने आपकी बुक की तारीफ की हो तो किसी को भी अच्छा लगेगा. So the author, in reply to that review, he sent a letter of thank you to that lady. Okay, एक जनरल रिस्पेक्ट, एक नॉर्मल जेस्टर हम लोग बोलते, राइट? किसी ने कुछ अच्छा किया तो वी सेंड अ लेटर ऑफ थैंक यू. तो उन्होंने लेटर ऑफ थैंक यू भेजा. तो इन रिप्लाई शी अगेन सेंट अ लेटर टू द ऑथर सेइंग दैट आई वाज पासिंग थ्रू पेरिस, बिकॉज पेरिस में ऑथर रहते थे. सो शी इज टेलिंग दैट आई वाज पासिंग थ्रू पेरिस एंड आई जस्ट विश टू मीट यू. इतना उन्होंने वो लेटर में लिखा. But her time was limited and the only free moment she had was on the following Thursday, and would I give her a little luncheon at Foyot afterwards. Foyot is a restaurant and it was so far beyond my means that I had never ever thought of going there. I had 8 francs, gold francs, to last me the rest of the month, and a modest luncheon should not cost more than 15. If I cut off coffee for next 2 weeks, I could manage well enough. Now he is a person like एक अकेला author was like he was living alone, right? जितना पैसा उन्होंने savings जितना उनका था उतने में he has to pay his bills. अभी एक कैसा होता है, like if I am a normal adult and मैं किधर गई हूँ अकेली रहने को, so जितना पैसा I am earning, like I have a limited budget, right? I have to spend the entire a month and also the next till the time मेरे को पगार आता है, वैसा ऐसा होता है, राइट? तो हम लोग एक पूरा बजट प्लान करते हैं कि ये महीना मेरा इतना पैसा में निकल जाएगा एंड द रेस्ट आई विल रिमूव इन दिस पर्टिकुलर अमाउंट. सो ही वॉज ऑल्सो सेइंग द सेम थिंग बिकॉज एज वी हैव सीन ही वॉज एट द अर्ली फेज ऑफ हिज करियर, राइट? सो ही डिडंट हैड दैट मच अमाउंट ऑफ मनी. द ओनली अमाउंट ही हैड वॉज 80 francs, वो उनका सेविंग था. एंड शी वॉज टेलिंग इन द लेटर दैट आई एम ओनली फ्री ऑन थर्सडे. सो द ऑथर थॉट दैट शुड आई टेक हर टू फोयट. ओके, ना फोयट उनके वहाँ का एक बड़ा रेस्टोरेंट है जहाँ अभी तक कभी ऑथर भी नहीं गए. लाइक इफ आई से यू आई विल टेक यू टू ताज, समथिंग लाइक दैट, लाइक अ वेरी पॉश होटल ड्यूरिंग दोज टाइम. सो ही थॉट दैट ही वॉज नाउ कैलकुलेटिंग कि फोयट तो बड़ा महंगा रहेगा एंड मैं कभी गया नहीं हूँ. सो ही वॉज जस्ट कैलकुलेटिंग दैट आई हैव 80 francs एंड बड़ा होटल है, ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा बिल कितना होगा, 15 francs तक होगा. सी इज सेइंग दैट ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा बिल 15 तक हो जाएगा, 15 francs तक. तो अगर मैं 2 वीक कॉफ़ी नहीं पीता हूँ तो दैट वुड बी एडजस्टेड बिकॉज हम लोग अभी एज आई सेड वी आर ऑन अ बजट, राइट? तो बजट वाइज प्लानिंग करते थे. इफ़ कि अगर मेरा पैसा इतने में चला गया तो उतनी चीज़ अपन कट करते, राइट? सो दैट इट लेवल अप हो जाता है. तो ही इज सेइंग द सेम थिंग कि अगर मैं 2 वीक कॉफ़ी नहीं पीऊँगा तो ठीक ठाक हो जाएगा, वो मैनेज हो जाएगा. एंड ही डिसाइड्स टू टेक दैट लेडी एट फोयट होटल. फाइन. I answered that I would meet my friend at Foyot on Thursday at 12:30. She was, in appearance, imposing rather than attractive, and she gave me the impression of having more teeth, white and large and even, than were necessary for any practical purpose. She was talkative, but since she seemed to talk about me, I was prepared to be an attentive listener. Abhi kya ho gaya that he thought, like, normally he's a person, right? He thought that a lady would be attractive and something like that. तो इसीलिए उन्होंने Foyot ऐसा बड़ा होटल select किया, right? But the time when he went there, when he met that lady, it kind of wasn't that attractive to the author. कि author को वो ठीक ठाक लगी. He thought that she has more teeth and she was like a little bit of large, and she didn't, yeah, like the author didn't like her, didn't feel attractive. Okay, and she was like, and he was like, the author was like, she was very talkative, and since हमारी मीटिंग ही मेरे बुक के रिव्यू के ऊपर लाइक थैंकिंग पे है, सो शी वुड बी थोड़ा मेरा तारीफ करती रहेगी. सो ही वॉज रेडी टू लिसन, ही वॉज बीइंग अ गुड लिसनर, क्योंकि उसको लगा मेरा तारीफ ही होएगा तो मैं ज़रा सुनता हूँ वैसा. I was I was startled when the menu was brought, for the prices were a great deal higher than I had thought, but she reassured me. Okay, तो जितना जैसे उन्होंने पहले assumption कर लिया था कि 15 francs तक मेरा बिल हो जाएगा. The time when he went to the hotel, he was completely shocked, because जितना उन्होंने assumption लगाया था उससे double triple तो वो hotel के prices थे. So now he was very much shocked, but then he's saying that she reassured me. Okay, but उसको देख के I was like, चलो देख लेंगे क्या होगा वैसा. I never eat anything for luncheon, she said. Oh, don't say that, I answered generously. अभी कोई भी, इट्स नॉर्मल बिहेवियर राइट. अगर आपके घर पे कोई आया है एंड वो खाना नहीं खा रहे तो आप बोलते ना, अरे नहीं नहीं ले लो ले लो. इन द सिमिलर वे शी इज़ लाइक, आई डोंट ईट एनीथिंग ऑन ड्यूरिंग लंच. सो ही वाज लाइक, अरे डोंट से दैट, अभी मीटिंग ही लंच पे हो रहा है तो ऐसा आप नहीं खाओगे तो कैसा चलेगा ना, सॉर्ट ऑफ सिचुएशन लाइक दैट. I never eat more than one thing. I think people eat for too much nowadays. A little fish, perhaps. I wonder if they have any salmon. Okay, so what she is telling that I never eat like मैं एक ही चीज़ कभी भी खाती हूँ. Okay, I eat only one thing always, and salmon यहाँ पे मिलेगा क्या? Salmon is basically a fish. Okay. Well, it was very early in the year for salmon and it was not on the menu, but I asked the waiter if there was any. Yes, a beautiful salmon had just come in. It was the first they had had. I ordered it for my guest. The waiter asked her if she would have something while it was being cooked. No, she answered. I never eat more than one thing. Unless you had a little caviar, I never mind caviar. Okay, so अभी क्या हो गया, that she is saying that salmon मिलेगा क्या, तो the author was little bit happy. उसको लगा चलो मेरा बिल बच गया, because salmon है ना वो टाइम पे वो मतलब एक पर्टिकुलर पीरियड होता है ना, एक हर साल में एक पर्टिकुलर पीरियड होता है जहाँ पे कि ये सीज़न में ये चीज़ मिलेगी. सो उस टाइम पे सैल्मन का सीज़न नहीं था, तो द ऑथर वॉज नाउ हैप्पी कि चलो अच्छा है मेरा बिल कम हो जाएगा. बट उसको लगा कि चलो मैं तो भी वेटर को पूछ लेता हूँ, बिकॉज अ लेडी सिटिंग इन फ्रंट ऑफ मी एंड शी इज़ आस्किंग फॉर सैल्मन. तो उसने वेटर को पूछा दैट डू यू हैव सैल्मन, एंड वेटर इज़ लाइक या अभी अभी एक फ्रेश सैल्मन आया है. एंड वेटर बदले में लेडी को पूछता है कि सैल्मन जब तक बन रहा है तब तक वुड यू माइंड टू हैव समथिंग एल्स, एंड शी इज सेइंग अ लिटिल बिट ऑफ केवियर इज मोर देन इनफ फॉर मी. नाउ व्हाट इज केवियर स्टूडेंट? केवियर है ना फिश के एग से बना हुआ एक डिश होता है. ओके, सो फिश के एग से जो बनता है डिश उसको हम लोग बेसिकली बोलते हैं केवियर. ओके, सो शी सेज आई डोंट माइंड ईटिंग केवियर, के कब तक आप केवियर लेके आओगे तो मुझे चलेगा. आई न्यू आई कुड नॉट अफोर्ड केवियर, but I could not very well tell her that. For myself, I choose the cheapest dish on the menu and that was a mutton chop. अभी उसने देखा था मेनू, उसने केवियर बोला एंड ही वॉज वरिड कि यार केवियर तो मेरे बजट में नहीं है, मैं क्या करूँ, एंड इसको बोल भी नहीं सकता, वो अच्छा नहीं लगेगा. सो फॉर हिम ही पिक्ड अप द चीपेस्ट वन, कि जो एकदम सस्ता रहेगा ना वो उसने पिक किया, एंड दैट वॉज मटन चॉप. आई थिंक यू आर unwise to eat meat, she said. I don't believe in overloading my stomach. तो लेडी क्या बोलती है, that mutton mutton chop बहुत हेवी हो जाएगा लंच के लिए, and I don't think you should eat that. मैं तो ऐसा ओवरलोड वाला खाना कभी खाती नहीं हूँ. That's what she said. She ate the caviar and she ate the salmon as well. पहले उसने क्या बोला था, I only eat one thing, and ये देखो अभी दो मैडम खा के बैठी है. She talked gaily of art and literature and music, but I wondered what the bill would come to. Okay, तो वो बोल रहा है कि ये like the lady was talking about art, literature and something which is my field, but I was worried about the bill, कि bill कितना आने वाला है. When my mutton chop arrived, she took me quite seriously to task. ओके कि जैसे ही मेरा मटन आया ना तो शी वॉज लाइक कि अरे ये कैसे खाएगा, बिकॉज उसको लग रहा था कि ये बहुत हेवी हो जाएगा. आई सी दैट यू आर इन द हैबिट ऑफ ईटिंग अ हेवी luncheon. आई एम श्योर इट्स अ मिस्टेक. Why don't you follow my example and just eat one thing? Okay, दो चीज़ खा के बैठी है and ऑथर को बोल रही है that you are eating something which is damn heavy, you eat something मेरे जैसा. Okay, I couldn't possibly eat anything more unless they had some of those giant asparagus. I should be sorry to leave Paris without having some of them. तो मैडम का तीसरा डिमांड. ओके, पहले उन्होंने खाया सैल्मन, उनके बाद उन्होंने खाया क्या था वो डिश, व्हाट वाज दैट, केवियर. एंड नाउ शी इज़ लाइक कि मैं पेरिस में आई हूँ एंड मैं यहाँ पे एस्पैरागस नहीं खाऊंगी तो मुझे बहुत बुरा लगेगा कि मैं पेरिस से बिना एस्पैरागस खाई चली गई. सो आई शुड ईट एस्पैरागस, वो वैसे बोलती है ऑथर को. माई हार्ट सैंक. I had seen them in the shops and I knew that they were horribly expensive. My mouth had often watered at the sight of them. बेचारा वो खुद बोलता है कि मैंने उनको शॉप्स में देखा है, उनको देख के मेरे को खुद को इतना मन हुआ है, बट आई हैव नेवर ईटन दोज. वाई? बिकॉज वो इतने हेवी, मतलब दे आर दैट एक्सपेंसिव कि मेरे को कभी ऐसे कभी कभी होता है ना, आपको मन होता है बट यू नो यू कैन नॉट अफोर्ड इट एंड यू डोंट इट. एंड ही इज़ लाइक मैं आज ये लेडी के लिए ये मंगाऊँ यार, ऐसे उसको बहुत बुरा लग रहा था. I am not in the least hungry, my guest sighed. But if you insist, I don't mind having some asparagus. I ordered them. वो बोलती है कि I am not इतना hungry, मतलब मेरे को इतना भूख नहीं लगा है. But if you are insisting asparagus खाने के लिए मैं खा सकती हूँ. ऑथर तो कुछ insist कर ही नहीं रहा है. ओके, Aren't you going to have any? No, I never eat asparagus. तो वो ऑथर को पूछते कि आपको नहीं खाना asparagus, तो he is like no baba, I have never eaten and I don't want to eat. We waited for the asparagus to be cooked. Panic seized me. मतलब क्या डर गया था वो बेचारा. क्यों? बिकॉज बिल का उसको टेंशन आ रहा था. It was not a question now of how much money I should have left over for the rest of the month, बट वेदर आई हैड इनफ टू पे द बिल. अभी उसको टेंशन क्या आ रहा था? पहले तो वो सोच रहा था कि ये महीना मैं निकाल पाऊंगा या नहीं, नेक्स्ट मंथ मेरा निकल पाएगा क्या नहीं. अभी उसको टेंशन क्या आ रहा है कि मैं ये बिल तो भर पाऊंगा क्या नहीं, कि 80 फ्रैंक्स में मेरा बिल हो जाएगा या नहीं. वैसा it would be mortifying to find myself 10 francs short and be obliged to borrow from my guest. कि वो वही बोल रहा है, अगर गलती से 90 फ्रैंक्स हो गया एंड फिर 10 फ्रैंक्स बोरो करना भी वो लेडी के पास से कैसे लगेगा, बिकॉज शी इज़ माई गेस्ट. I knew exactly how much I had, and if the bill came to more, I made up my mind that I would put my hand in my pocket and with a dramatic cry start up and say it had been picked. Of course, it would be awkward if she had not money enough either to pay the bill. Then the only thing would be to leave my watch and say I would come back and pay later. तो उन्होंने author has decided in the mind कि अगर बिल ज़्यादा आया तो I would do like I would put my hand in the pocket and act as if my wallet is being stolen. And I know it would be awkward if she might have not carried the money as well, कि अगर उसने भी money लाया नहीं होगा तो बहुत awkward situation हो जाएगा. But then lately मेरे पास एक ही option बचेगा, मैं घड़ी निकाल के मेरा दे दूंगा and I would say them that I would come back, give you the money and take my money back and take my watch back. मतलब क्या, पैसे के बदले watch दे दूंगा. The asparagus appeared. I watched her thirst them down her throat in large mouthfuls. At last she finished. Coffee, I said. Yes, just an ice cream and coffee, she answered. I was past caring now, so I ordered coffee for myself and an ice cream and coffee for her. Okay, तो जैसे asparagus ख़त्म हुआ तो उसने ऑथर ने सिर्फ ऐसे ही पूछ लिया कि would you like to have coffee, खाली कॉफ़ी के लिए पूछा. तो the lady is like yeah, I don't mind having coffee and ice cream as well. तो उन्होंने आइसक्रीम भी बढ़ा दिया. फिर एक कॉफ़ी ऑथर के लिए आई एंड कॉफ़ी एंड आइसक्रीम फॉर द लेडी. Yes, you know, there's one thing I thoroughly believe in, she said as she ate the ice cream. One should always get up from a meal feeling one could eat a little more. आर यू स्टिल हंग्री, आई आस्क्ड फेंटली. ओके, तो वो क्या बोलती है कि आपको तभी उठना चाहिए जब आपको लगे कि आपका पेट, मतलब आपके पेट में और जगह है खाने के लिए. सो ही वो शॉक्ड, मैन इतना खा के भी इसका पेट भरा नहीं क्या, ऐसा है. तो ही इज आस्किंग आर यू स्टिल हंग्री, एकदम ऐसा फेंट आवाज़ में, एकदम धीरे आवाज़ में वो उसको पूछते हैं आर यू स्टिल हंग्री, इतना खाने के बाद भी. ये उसके मन में चल रहा था. Oh no, I'm not hungry. You see, I don't eat luncheon. इतना खाने के बाद ये लाइन मार रही है that I don't eat luncheon. I have a cup of coffee in the morning and then dinner, but I never eat more than one thing for luncheon. I was speaking for you. She's saying that I eat for lunch में भी, अरे कॉफ़ी 2 बार पीती हूँ मैं, सुबह भी शाम को भी, पर लंच में मैं इतना कुछ नहीं खाती हूँ. Oh, I see. Then a terrible thing happened. While we were waiting for the coffee, the head waiter come up to us bearing a large basket full of huge peaches. But surely peaches were not in the season then. Lord knew what they cost. I knew a little later for my guest going out with a conversation. Absent-mindedly took one. Okay? You see, you have filled your stomach with a lot of meat, my one miserable little chop, and you can't eat any more. But I have just had a snack and I shall enjoy a peach. The bill came, and when I paid it, I found that I had enough for a quite inadequate tip. Her eyes rested for an instant on the 3 francs I left for the waiter, and I knew that she thought me mean. But when I walked out of the restaurant, I had the whole month before me and not a penny in my pocket. उसके बाद क्या हुआ? The time when उनका आइसक्रीम एंड कॉफ़ी खा के हो गया, एंड ही सॉ द वेटर कमिंग आउट विद अ बास्केट फुल ऑफ पीचेस. अभी उसको पता था कि पीच उस सीज़न में नहीं था. एंड मोस्टली क्या होता है, जिसका जो सीज़न होता है ना, उसमें द थिंग्स आर क्वाइट चीप. ओके, तो उसमें आपको सस्ते में मिल जाती है. बट जब सीज़न नहीं होता है एंड जब वो चीज़ आपको मिलती है, सो दे आर क्वाइट एक्सपेंसिव. So now he was very worried. And then when finally the bill came, he was very happy कि नसीब से उसके पास उतना पैसा था. एंड टिप देने के लिए उसके पास कुछ नहीं था, तो लास्ट में उसने सिर्फ 3 फ्रैंक्स रख दिए टिप देने के लिए. एंड उसका पूरा पैसा ख़त्म हो गया था. लाइक ऑल द 80 फ्रैंक्स वर नाउ यूज्ड. एंड नाउ ही वॉज वरिड दैट आई हैव द होल मंथ, आई एम जस्ट अ न्यू राइटर, मेरे पास इतना पैसा नहीं है, मैं कैसे मेरा पूरा महीना निकालूं. Follow my example, she said as we shook hands, and never eat more than one thing for luncheon. Okay, बात हो गया, मिलना हो गया, उन्होंने हाथ मिलाया. एंड देन शी सेइंग दैट यू फॉलो माई टिप, खाली एक ही चीज़ खाओ लंच पे, एंड दैट वुड बी वेरी फ्रूटफुल टू यू. अभी आपको समझा स्टार्टिंग में ऑथर ने क्यों ऐसा बोला था, दैट दिस लेडी हैज़ अ ग्रेट इन्फ्लुएंस इन माई करियर, और शी हैज़ अ ग्रेट कॉन्ट्रीब्यूशन इन माई करियर. दैट वॉज इन अ sarcastic way. I'll do better than that, I retorted. I'll eat nothing for dinner tonight. तो वो भी उसको ऐसा sarcastic way में बोलता है, इससे और अच्छा मैं कुछ काम करूँगा. I won't eat anything only. She is telling that eat only one thing for luncheon, but he is saying that I won't eat anything only for dinner. Humorist, she cried gaily, jumping into a cab. You are a quite humorist. Okay, तो उसको लगा ये मस्ती कर रहा है. So she is like humorist, हाँ, like one who has a great sense of humor. And फिर कैब में गई, एंड कैब में बैठ के भी उसको वही बोलते हैं humorist, हाँ, मतलब तेरे पास अच्छा ह्यूमर है वैसा. But I have had my revenge at last. I do not believe that I am a vindictive man, but when the God takes a hand in the matter, it is understandable to observe the result with satisfaction. Today she weighs 21 stone. Okay, what he's saying. So what is the person saying? What is the author saying? That at that time I was not able to take the revenge. इस बात का बदला मैं नहीं ले पाया था ये lady से. But I am thankful that God has taken this revenge. And what he's trying to say, that now today she weighs 21 stone. मतलब क्या कि अभी वो इतनी ज़्यादा healthy है. And now I am happy that इसने कितने लोगों को, मतलब कितने लोगों से ऐसे बिल भरवाए कि भगवान ने भी इसको सजा दी. And now she is that heavy and that healthy and that large as well. Okay, so that was the chapter. That was a little comedy type, a bit of humor, and I hope you have understood why he said in the starting that this lady has a great contribution towards my success. Because देखो पहले जब वो उनको नहीं मिला था तो ही हैड दैट मच अमाउंट ऑफ मनी जिससे वो अपना एक महीना एंड आगे का महीना ही कुड ईजीली रिमूव, बट द टाइम व्हेन ही मेट एंड देन पूरा पैसा चला गया एंड देन ही डिडंट हैड एनीथिंग टू रिमूव द ये वाला मंथ एंड द नेक्स्ट मंथ, राइट. सो दैट इज़ वाई ही इज सेइंग दैट शी हैज़ अ ग्रेट कॉन्ट्रीब्यूशन इन माई करियर. अंडरस्टूड. पूरा उसको कंगाल कर दिया था इसके लिए. So yeah, that was it. This is how we come towards the end of our chapter. Now, do you have any? No. Luncheon, yeah. Warming up session है page number 150 पे. Talk with your partner and discuss the following question. Have you ever been invited for a lunch to any hotel by your friend? Personal response. What was the occasion and did you enjoy the lunch? Again, a personal response question. If you have, write it down. If not, still try to write, because writing just no is not good, because एज़ यू ऑल नो इंग्लिश है, मैटर चाहिए. तो अगर आप सिर्फ नो लिख लोगे एंड समझो क्वेश्चन 2 मार्क का है तो खाली नो लिखने पे आपको बच्चा 2 मार्क नहीं मिलेगा. तो नहीं भी इनवाइटेड होगा तो भी नॉर्मली इफ़ नॉट इनवाइटेड बाय फ्रेंड देन एटलीस्ट फैमिली फ्रेंड्स तो होते ही है. लाइक अंकल आंटी है, पापा के फ्रेंड, मम्मा के फ्रेंड, दे डू इनवाइट. लाइक आप लोग फैमिली लंच तो करते होगे तो वो आप लिख लेना. कुछ एक्सपीरियंस तो ज़रूर लिखना. Discuss in pairs. People with foibles are often not conscious of them. Do you agree or disagree and why? Okay, now people with foibles. What do you mean by foibles? Foibles मतलब क्या होता है? एक बेसिकली एक पर्सन में एक वीकनेस अपन बोल सकते हैं ना, या व्हाट डू यू से, अ माइनर वीकनेस. मतलब कैसे वो थी वैसे कि वो बोलती थी एक ही चीज़ खाती हूँ पर पूरा खा लिया, समझ रहे हो वैसे. सो लाइक अ फुलिश हैबिट यू कैन से, लाइक अ पर्सन विद अ फुलिश हैबिट or with a small fault in them. So what is the question they have asked? That people with foibles are often not conscious of them. Do you agree? आपको लगता है ऐसा? And like a personal response question. अगर कोई ऐसा you have met a person with a little bit habit which is not good or which is annoying to you. So do you agree that these kind of people are not conscious of them? कि वो खुद के they are not conscious regarding themselves. So what do you think? Do you agree to this or do you disagree? You can write it down. Okay, now coming towards workshop part. Choose the correct option from the bracket. Simple है homework. Go through the story again and find out various instances which create humor in the luncheon. बहुत सारे ऐसे situations थे. First of all was the time when she says I only eat one thing and she ate continuously so many dishes. So that you can write. एंड या वो एक इंस्टेंस और कौन सी लाइन है फ्रॉम द स्टोरी. एक एग्जाम्पल आपको दिया है, देखो. द वुमेन इज़ अ voracious eater, as I said this, that she keeps on eating continuously, and which is a line that she always say that I only eat one thing. ऐसे और बहुत सारी lines है, you can write it down. Okay, who said to whom? Again, who said to whom and under what situation. Homework, simple. Answer in your own words. Although the author was not a vindictive man, he was very happy to see her 21 years ago, and days had finally had his revenge. What makes him say this? Explain. As I said, why do you feel that he, मतलब 21 years के बाद भी वो मिले बट उनको लगा कि अच्छा है मेरा बदला पूरा हुआ. Like someone doesn't takes a revenge after 21 years, like after such a long year. But why do you think the writer say that? Because he was at his struggling period, and for that, like during those period, every penny matters, right? But because of her, the entire budget of a month was disturbed, and that is why the writer thinks ऐसा something वैसा कुछ आप लिख सकते हो. There are quite a few places where the author uses the expression my heart sank, panic seized. मतलब क्या, वही कि वो डर रहे थे. He was in a total various moods, like tension में भी थे, shocked भी थे, bill क्या आएगा, so you can write it down. What was the reason for this? Again, as we all know, because he had a particular budget and he had to, spend his entire month on that particular budget, and that is why he was saying all of these things. What are the instances which created humor in the luncheon? बहुत सारी ऐसी चीज़ें थे जिसमें you felt like smiling or laughing. So what was the situation? You need to write it down. A humorous one, basically. Describe the use of irony and humor in the luncheon. Okay. Now what do you mean by describe the use of irony and humor? कि कहाँ कहाँ पे humor use हुआ है वो आपको बताना है. ठीक है. Pick out the words and in the story that indicate the author was not financially well off. You can write starting career पहले के paragraph में जो बताया है वो, and put the following event into the correct order. Again homework 7 से रहने दो तो अपन उसमें ही कर लेंगे. ठीक है. It's kind of similar to sub question 4 का D, तो उसमें we will do. ठीक है. Yeah, I guess yeah, rest of them is grammar. 13th is this, 13th 12, 13th is writing skills, that if you wish you can try. So yeah, that is it for today's session. इतना ही हम लोग रखते हैं. We'll see you all in the next one. Till then, bye bye and take care. Bye.